Thank you for listening to Depictions Media Radio.
All right, we're ready to go. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to start off by acknowledging that we are gathered today on the traditional territory of the Lekwungen-speaking people, the Songhees and Esquimalt nations, and I want to thank you all for joining us today. And I'd like to welcome David Nicholas, the General Manager of Vancouver Island Brewing, a company that's a long-standing pillar of Victoria's business community. And David, it's nice to have you here today. I also want to thank Amy Hall, who's the founder of Goldilocks Wraps, for being here today. Amy, I look forward to hearing your stories and your journey to create eco-friendly products. To all the small and medium-sized businesses, thank you for all that you do to provide good-paying jobs throughout this province. We know that many of you are hurting right now. At the best of times, it can be difficult to run a local business. My family ran a small business here, a restaurant here, for close to a decade, and I can't even imagine how difficult it'd be during a pandemic. We recognize the hardship and the pandemic, and unlike anything that you've experienced before. And that's why our government has responded and delivered programs to support you. Stronger BC, our $1.5 billion economic recovery plan, is here to help people and businesses build back toward a brighter future that focuses on innovation, sustainability, and inclusiveness. Today, I'm pleased to share with you a new initiative of Stronger BC called Launch Online Grant Program. COVID has changed the way we do business, and with many moving online. Business practices that we thought were 5 to 7 years away are here now. Many have had to adapt to ensure that they can continue to operate, and we want businesses in BC to be on the cutting edge of that shift. Now is the time for us to build their online sales so they can have the opportunity to become more competitive and grow. Our Stronger BC Launch Online Grant Program is designed to help businesses to get access to larger markets and a whole new set of customers. This program offers businesses up to $7,500 in grant money to work with local e-commerce service providers to help them build or improve their online store. We have set aside $12 million, which means 1,500 BC businesses will be able to access the program and grow their sales and tech. We know that BC business are some of the best in the world. In my first couple of months as Minister of Jobs, Economic Recovery and Innovation, I've had the opportunity to hear many of those stories. Take Alex from Flying Squirrel Trampoline Park in Victoria. He used the skills he gained from participating in our digital boot camp to accelerate his digital presence. Alex had to shut down his business during COVID, but because of the skills he learned, he has sold over $10,000 in gift cards to support his business until he can get back up and running and operating again. There's also Tim from BCG Partners, a company specializing in construction industry training. Tim received our business recovery grant, which has allowed him to pivot to online training. Stories like Alex and Tim give me hope. To hear how their businesses have been able to pivot and adapt is exactly what we're hoping for when we announce these supports. And I know that there are so many more stories out there. I've been engaging with local chambers, industry partners, and I know they're excited about this new grant program. To ensure that we're not leaving people behind, 25% of the program funds will be reserved for regional and indigenous businesses. In these times, it's crucially important for businesses throughout our province, urban and rural, to have online shop. People all over are relying more and more on our online shops, with a whopping $305 billion in e-commerce sales in Canada in 2019. And e-commerce sales are projected to double in 2020 and are expected to increase even further in 2021. Our grant will provide businesses with more opportunity to increase their sales, create good local jobs throughout the province. The Launch Online program is up and ready for business. So if you're a small or medium-sized business and you want your business to launch, look no further. Visit our website, launchonline.ca, and you can apply today. Every day, people and businesses across BC are working hard to fight COVID-19, and we've got their back. I want you to know we are listening, and we know how determined you are to emerge from this pandemic stronger. We share your determination, and I want you to know that you are not in this alone. We are committed to continuing to find ways to help you pivot and adapt your business and prepare for the economy of tomorrow. To all the small and medium-sized businesses, I want to say thank you. We appreciate your innovation and your resilience. To all British Columbians, please shop local and buy BC. It's the small businesses in your community that are sponsoring your local kids hockey and taking part in your community. Show your appreciation for local restaurant, bakery, hair salon, and pay them a visit. They need us, and we need them. I would like to now invite Dave Nicholas from Vancouver Island Brewing to say a few words.
Thank you for the invitation and listening to a story of our brewery. Vancouver Island Brewing is one of Canada's oldest craft breweries, opening its doors in 1984. For the past 36 years, the brewery has helped shape craft beer across this country. Many people in BC and on this island remember their first beers, and a lot of times it's beers like Islander and Pipers and Herman's, and they tell their friends the stories of those beers. Those beers still exist today, but our portfolio has grown to brands like Victoria Pilsner, Broken Island's Hazy IPA, and our title series of small batch releases, all of which is driving our business forward. It's these days, we have around 10 different beers on tap at our tap room and in package. It's this innovation, it's these new beers coming to the marketplace that has really supported our industry and the growth of craft across Canada. Heading into 2020, our brewery was on a high. We had just finished changing our packaging design, introduced a new lineup of beers, and had finished 2019 with 35% growth versus the year before. Our beers were tasting great, consumers were loving all the new beers that came out, and our company culture was amazing. We're a supercharged team of 40 employees, all with a unique story. And what's special about Vancouver Island Brewing is we have employees that have been with us for 31 years and as short as 3 days, and everything in between. It's that culture that really charged us into 2020. At the end of the day, we love living here, exploring the beautiful BC, the trails, the waters, everything that is so great about this province. But not just that, we enjoy our craft beer. We enjoy sharing it with friends and having fun. We're really excited to hear the launch online grant program supporting BC businesses. When the lockdown occurred, many people couldn't make it to their local shops, and they jumped to online to source all their necessities. We were fortunate that great beer was one of those essential items. Within 48 hours, we had set up our website and were running enough to deliver directly in Victoria. Since our taproom was closed, we used our staff to manage the online sales and do the deliveries. But our website wasn't originally built to have an online store, and consumer challenges happened regularly where people were timed out or unable to complete their transactions. Unfortunately, this created an unhappy experience. We had invested a lot into upkeeping the site, but it wasn't until we analyzed our online traffic that we saw a number of consumers had dropped off at the final stage. We invested thousands of marketing dollars to promote the store and generated some good sales, made customers happy, and kept our staff fully employed. Again, we're very excited about the launch online grant program. It will enable us to build a dedicated online store, not only to service the local audience of Victoria, but also to expand to all of BC using Canada Post. Also, this addresses the continued interest that we see from the rest of Canada, U.S., and internationally, as many people had planned trips to visit our beautiful province, but were unable to get here. They're still looking for souvenirs, such as glassware, shirts, and hats, everything to just hold on to the hopes of visiting the island and BC in the near future. These funds won't end just at the brewery, as we source a lot of our materials from local businesses, whether designers and agencies in Vancouver and Victoria, or t-shirt suppliers and artists that help us build them. All of these will help build our thriving economy and build back BC. And now, I'd like to introduce Amy Hall, founder of Goldilocks Wraps.
Yes, so my name's Amy, as David so kindly mentioned, and I'm the founder of Goldilocks Wraps. We make an eco-friendly alternative to plastic wrap in the form of reusable beeswax wraps. Now, this was something that started out as a hobby. I've been doing this for about 5 years now, but quickly expanded into a full-time business, and we are lucky to now have a commercial studio space here in Victoria full of 12 employees, as well as a fairly small online presence as well. But when I first started making beeswax wraps, I was doing so by hand in my basement suite apartment, all by myself. And at this point in time, in-person markets were the core foundation for Goldilocks. Not just for the sales, but also for the feedback, being able to interact with customers, and being able to develop bonds and really establish connections within the maker community as a whole. Years of regular market attendance, whether it be at farmers markets or craft markets or Christmas shows, really allowed Goldilocks to turn from a hobby into something so much more. Without the opportunity that these markets provided, I honestly don't know if I could say where we would be today. So I feel very deeply for those small businesses, medium businesses, trying to establish themselves in 2020 or expand, canceled, or severely restricted. We were lucky in that we already had a small online presence established, and we were looking to grow, so it made it a little bit easier for us to pivot. And when this major source of income, the markets themselves, suddenly disappeared without really any notice. Our focus turned to setting up dedicated websites for Canadian as well as American customers, a visual overhaul, and working with a local marketing company to get word out about our products that they were now available online. We really wanted our customers to have that same experience of purchasing from us at a market transferred to online. A welcoming feeling, an educational interaction, walking away feeling like you're a part of something so much bigger than yourself. Our online sales made up nearly all of our revenue for 2020, which was a huge shift. And it also, being online, allowed us to expand much further across Canada and tap into the US market internationally. The pandemic has really changed the way that businesses need to operate to stay afloat, and having an online presence has gone from being an added bonus to an absolute necessity. This funding program is the perfect opportunity to allow businesses to either set up an online presence or expand upon an existing one. And I know that it can be incredibly daunting to delve into the world of tech and online, but I highly recommend that any small or medium business out there listening to this today apply for this grant, because becoming established online is something that you are definitely not going to regret.
I love that you're reading those notes and showing me up. Good. With that, I'm ready to take some questions.
Minister, as a reminder to everybody on the phone line, please press star 1 to enter the queue. You will be limited to one question and one follow-up only. Please also take your phones off mute. You are not audible until your name is called. First question today is from Rob Buffum, CTVBI.
Oh, hi, good afternoon. Thanks for taking my question. My question is for Minister Kellon, and it's basically my question is, what's your messaging for, it doesn't relate to this online program, but it does relate to small and medium-sized businesses. I'm thinking of some, for example, a restaurant in Victoria that opened during the pandemic. It had committed and planned to open prior to the pandemic, but financially, but it actually opened in May, so it's not eligible for the smaller, medium-sized grants, nor is it eligible for the federal grants or subsidies for wages or rent. What do you say to them? Is there any relief coming? Because they're not getting the grants available to other businesses, yet they're facing the same challenges during the pandemic.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and I know it's a challenge for many businesses throughout this province, and in particular those in hospitality and the restaurant business. A lot of the supports that we have provided have been going out to obviously many businesses. Some of the smaller businesses are seeing benefits from some of the announcements. We lowered the price for liquor by 25% to help those restaurants. We've cut property taxes so that it helps lower some of their overhead. And so, all those businesses have seen some benefits. I understand some programs are not available to them at this point, but we have adjusted our small business grant program to allow for businesses that have been operating for up to 18 months of when they've applied to be able to be eligible for that program. And so we're trying to guide as many of those businesses as we can to the programs. There are some programs that are available to them, and some, because we need to show that they're viable businesses and show that they've had a history of operating, it precludes them from some of those programs. But we're certainly looking at ways to continue to support as many businesses as we can.
Follow-up, Rob?
I guess my understanding is you have moved the goalpost from 3 years operating to 18 months operating. But as I say, for this restaurant, for example, Bear and Joey, they'd committed to a lease for 10 years. They'd given personal guarantees, and they're not alone. They've started a petition, I gather, with 35 businesses in a similar position. They're simply not, at this point, eligible for those grants because they don't have financials dating back 18 months. Would the government consider recognizing the plight of a business like that and changing the goalpost from 18 months to a shorter time period like they're experiencing?
Yeah. Well, I think the most important thing is when we set up our support programs, it was in partnership with the federal government. We tried to fill in gaps within the federal programs, and that's why we've made many adjustments to the programs. Again, some programs that we've announced have been accessible to them. Certainly the liquor pricing, the property tax cuts, the tax credits for rehiring and hiring employees, and the grants. I understand that there's some businesses that have started in the middle of the pandemic that perhaps are not able to apply. We'll have to continue to look and communicate with the associations to find solutions. But at this stage, the program is available for those who have been operating their businesses for at least 18 months.
It's 14 hours.
Next question is from Rob Shaw, Check News.
Well, hi, Minister. I just wanted to check, I guess to start here, if this is new money or part of the existing $300 million small medium business grant program, or falls under money that's been previously announced?
So this money is part of our Stronger BC allocation of $1.5 billion. This program hasn't been announced. This is the first time we're announcing this program, and it's exciting news. You know, we're seeing a major shift in our economy. We're seeing that now what we thought was maybe 5 or 7 years from now, that transition to going to more digital and more online is happening in 1 year. And so we know we need to support our small businesses in that transition. It's critical. And so that's why we've launched this new program, and I think it's going to have a big pickup.
Rob, do you have a follow-up?
Yes, thanks. Your office says, as of today, on the larger small and medium sized business grant program, that 12 million of the 300 million has actually been approved for businesses. And I just wondered if you're starting to formulate a plan to get that money out the door by the end of March before it expires, and how what we should be looking for from you in the next few weeks before that, based on this uptake, that money's going to go to waste unless you do something to get it out the door to businesses.
Well, we're certainly not going to waste any money, and all the supports we've put in for small businesses, over $1.5 billion of supports, I think have gone to a good cause, and it's critical. 2/3 of all businesses in BC are relying on government supports, and so what we've seen in the first 3 months of the Small Business Grant Program was just over 1,000 applications. After we made the changes in late December, so just this month, we've seen well over 4,000 applications come in just over the last few weeks, and so that trend line continues. We'll be, in a really good place, but we're going to continue to monitor that for the coming weeks and then make decisions accordingly.
Prabjot Sohal, Red FM.
Hi, I just wanted to know that there's an eligibility criteria that has been put in place, and there will be a check after some time, after 12 weeks, to see if all the conditions have been met, if all the money has been used for the right purpose. In case a business is not able to achieve that, what are the steps that you're going to take?
Well, we've made this process as streamlined as possible. Businesses can go online right now to the website, which is launchonline.ca. They register their interest. We want to ensure that companies that register have a GST number, have at least $30,000 in sales, either in 2019 or 2020, and have less than 149 employees. And so once businesses register, Alacrity Canada, which has been our partner in this, will turn around their applications within 3 weeks. Small businesses will be asked to put together a plan, so reach out to a vendor and put together a plan. Part of that plan can be launching a website, part of that plan can be setting up e-commerce, and also up to 1 year of advertising to get their business up and running. And so once they submit that plan, Alacrity will get you the funds, and you can go out with your BC vendor to make that happen.
Do you have a follow-up, Prabjot?
Yes, so what I wanted to know was that there's a 12-week review that within 12 weeks the businesses have to achieve a certain goals, and if those goals are not met, then what's the government going to do then?
Yeah, we are building a lot of flexibility in this program, and the deadline for applications are end of March and/or when the money runs out. This is a first-come, first-basis program. We saw with the digital bootcamp program that we launched, it was greatly oversubscribed, and so we expect this program to fill up very quick. That being said, we're going to be flexible. If some businesses need a little bit longer than March 31st to get their program, their website up and running and their e-commerce set up, we're going to make sure that we provide that flexibility to them.
Next question is from Richard Sussman, Global News.
Minister, what took so long to establish this grant, considering, some of the companies we just heard from were required to set up websites far earlier in the pandemic, and so what took so long? And secondly, will those companies that, in order to survive established e-commerce platforms, will they have any eligibility to be reimbursed for any of the money they spent to modernize already?
Yeah, I think you're using your two questions in your first question, Richard. So, but what I'll say is that we have been flexible throughout this pandemic. As the pandemic has changed, so have the needs of businesses. And this was identified to me as a very important program and need. And so we were able to turn that around, ensure that we built in the inclusiveness in the program to ensure that there's regional opportunities, that Indigenous communities have the opportunities. We work closely with our partners to make sure the program is right, and I think we've done that work. And so this will be for new businesses that want to do that work, but also, like Dave mentioned, with their company, they launched, they identified some challenges and some greater investments that were needed, and so now they'll be applying and taking advantage of those dollars to scale up their online presence. So I would say to businesses that they have that opportunity if they want to do greater improvements to their online sales.
Follow-up, Richard?
Is there any frustration, Minister, around how little of the previous grant program money is actually in the pockets so far of businesses?
Well, I mean, again, I look at the last just 4 weeks and seeing over 4,000 applications come in. Clearly, we needed to make the program more flexible. That was the first thing when I became minister. I reached out to small business associations, restaurant associations, the tourism operators. Over 60% of the applications we're seeing just this month are from the tourism industry. And I said to them, what do we need to do? And they gave suggestions, and all those were implemented in our changes to the program. And it's turned the program around, and there's been a huge pickup. So I'm feeling cautiously optimistic that we're able to support a lot of the businesses that need it. Again, we're continually getting the word out for more businesses to apply.
Next question is from Ian Bailey, Globe and Mail.
Minister, what do you see as the nature of the challenge in terms of getting this money out there? Like, what's been the challenge in getting the money out there to businesses that need it?
Well, it's a two-part program, and so many of the businesses, over 4,000 of them, have applied just in the last few weeks. And the two-part program is the first part is they apply, and then we give them dollars in order to build a recovery plan for their business. Then after they've got a recovery plan built, we give them the additional dollars to support their businesses. So because of the two-step process, many of those companies are right now in the stage of developing their recovery plan, and we're paying up to $2,000 of the recovery plan on top of the grants. And so there's a lag between when the applications come in and when the dollars go out. And so I've been watching the amount of applications tick up, and I'm happy to see that.
Follow up, Ian?
Yeah, you talk about making decisions accordingly, I presume, to sort of further deal with this problem. What kind of options exist for you? What are you looking at to rectify these issues?
Well, we're always hearing new challenges, and this is the challenge of the pandemic. There's lots of uncertainty, and we're always hearing about different pressure points with various ministries, and those conversations are important. So we're going to continue to look at where all the pressure points are in our economy and try to find ways to support as much as we can. And you know, again, I'll say that we have had one of the most comprehensive plans in Canada to support small businesses. You know, over $1.5 billion just recently, but over $1 billion earlier in the year as well. And you know, even our small business grant program is double the size of all the other major provinces. So we're going to continue to listen and learn and adapt with our business community as time goes on.
Sandy Hall, CFAX 1070.
Yes, hi. Some of my questions have been asked, but I'll just try this one. Kind of on a similar but different topic. I'm wondering, we did talk about whether this needed to come earlier, but we're seeing an awful lot of closed down businesses in our malls and along the streets already. How's BC going to survive this?
Well, you know, it's going to be a challenge. We're in a worldwide pandemic. This is not a problem that only BC is facing. You know, it's a challenging time for businesses. Many of them are surviving on the supports of government. We've got reports that over 2/3 of all businesses are functioning because of the supports that governments have put in place. And so that's a challenge for us going forward. On the slightly optimistic side, we've seen 98.7% of jobs return to BC from the worst part of the pandemic, worst time of the pandemic. So, you know, we're going to continue to monitor. We're going to continue to provide supports to keep our businesses operating the best we can.
Sandy, do you have a follow-up?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Thanks. Next question is from Mary Brooks, Island Social Trends.
Hi, my question is about the program. I've taken a look at the website already, and the grant appears to be only for use in paying a third-party provider. And I'm just wondering if the skills exist within the company already, and there's a pivot of management time or staff time to building the website. Does that also qualify for the grant?
Yeah, no, if the companies, I believe, if they've got the capacity in-house to do that, this program is more for small businesses and medium-sized businesses that don't have that capacity. I've heard from many small businesses that they always wanted to get there. It was always on the agenda, but other things got in the way. And so this is to support those businesses that have always wanted to do it, or now, because of COVID, find its necessity to do so, to have supports, the financial means to hire expertise, to be able to launch online and promote their business and their sales to a wider audience.
Do you have a follow-up, Mary?
Yes, and you mentioned that Alacrity is your partner in this.
I'm just wondering, are they developing a directory of service providers that can provide some of these different pieces of the launching online that are mentioned here, like content for websites or developing inventory lists, that sort of thing, or does it all get funneled through Alacrity?
Well, the good news is there's no shortage of companies that can provide this kind of expertise. And so, there are companies available throughout this province that are doing this work, doing great work. But our partners will be able to provide suppliers and providers if need be. And so if applications come in and there's a request to help find a local e-commerce or a company to build their website, we'll certainly be providing them those opportunities.
Katie DeRosa, Vancouver Sun.
Hi, Minister. I was just wondering if you have sort of the updated figures on how much money of the BC Recovery Grant for small businesses has actually gone out the door.
I believe the number that was just shared was $12 million of the funds have gone out, and we've got well over 5,000 applications come in. And again, I'll highlight that it's a two-part program. Many of the businesses, over 4,000 of them, have applied just in the last few weeks. And the first step is for them to apply and then go out and build a recovery plan. We've changed the program to allow people and businesses to use their own accountants. So we're paying their accountant to help them build a recovery plan. Once they submit that recovery plan, then we approve their dollars, and because it's validated by the accountant. And so that's the delay in the money going out, but we continue to see more and more businesses apply, and like I said, over 60% of the applications coming in are from tourism-related businesses, which is good because we know that sector needs the support.
Follow-up, Katie?
Yes, thank you. And so just looking again at the launch online criteria, so it is currently operating, so there's no 18-month or minimum operational requirement for businesses?
No, there's no requirement of how long you've been operating for. The only requirement for businesses is that they have a GST number, that they show that they made at least $30,000 in revenue, either in year 2019 or 2020, and that they have less than 149 employees. And so we encourage every small business and medium-sized business that knows that they need to do this to apply, and it's a first-come, first basis.
Tim Ford, Victoria Buzz.
Good afternoon, Minister. Thanks for taking my question. I think you may have already touched on this a little bit here in a question with Mary, but just regarding what you were saying about how the government would connect funding recipients with service providers for the contract work. Can you provide a little bit more detail about how that would be done? Like, do you actually have service providers lined up to do this work?
Thanks for the question, Tim. Most of the so once a small business applies, they will be applying through launchonline.ca. Our partner, Alacrity, will take it from there. They will go through the application. They will ensure that the pieces are in place to ensure that you've got a good plan of how you want to use the dollars. And if small businesses or medium-sized businesses need a good provider to help them build their online platform, certainly those supports will be made available. But we've got so many great companies in BC that do this work. There will be no shortage of opportunities, but if that's needed, we will provide that.
Do you have a follow-up, Tim?
Yes, thanks. Also wanted to touch on how 25% of the funds have been reserved for Indigenous or regional businesses. You specify outside of the Lower Mainland and Greater Victoria. You mentioned at the top of the briefing that you think this program is going to be snapped up pretty quickly here. Are you anticipating that the 25% reserve fund will similarly be accessed quite quickly, or do you anticipate a bit of a slower uptake for that 25%?
No, I think that we're going to see an uptake in that 25% as well as the other side. I mean, I'm just going off of what we saw with our digital boot camp. It wasn't confined to the Lower Mainland or Victoria. We had companies from all over BC in rural communities, Indigenous communities apply for to be part of that program and had huge success. And so I don't think we're going to have a shortage of that. I think the challenge that we face as an economy, and all our business leaders know this, is that COVID has shifted the way we do business and the way consumers consume. And so it's critically important that we as a province support our businesses in that shift. And that's why I'm excited about this program. This is why I'm excited about the Digital Bootcamp program, because it's helping our businesses make that shift, and it can't come fast enough.
We have time for one more question this afternoon, and that comes from Lisa Cordasco, CHLY.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Minister. I'd like to ask about a group of laborers, specifically those who work or have worked in the hotel industry. And as I'm sure you're aware, tens of thousands of them have been laid off. And they've been asking you since last summer to tie grants, loans, programs to promises by hotels that they will either extend recall rights or be willing to rehire their employees back. What have you done to address those concerns?
Well, thank you for that question. And the grant program was launched well before I became minister, and the criteria is out there and applications are in place. We've done lots of engagement. I know Ministry of Labor has been engaging with labor leaders. We've got a industry table where we've had these conversations, and we continue to engage with all our partners. It's our expectation that all businesses in BC are good actors in this, and majority are. Unfortunately, we know that there are some businesses that are using this as an opportunity not to support their workers, but we do believe it's a small number, but we're going to continue to engage with labor leaders to address these issues. But as far as this grant program, it was announced well before I became minister, and the criteria are already public.
Lisa, do you have a follow-up?
Yes, I'd like to ask Dave and Amy, what government programs have you accessed, and how have they helped?
Thank you for the question. Yeah, the government program that's helped us out the most has been the wage subsidy program. It's enabled us to keep all of our employees working hard and, meeting all the needs of our business as it's changed sort of throughout the pandemic and where we've needed to put our attention.
So we currently haven't used any of the grant programs, but we will be applying for the one that we're announcing today to expand our online website presence. Currently, I've been personally doing all of our work for our website, but I am not a website developer, so it's something that's gotten us by until now, but it will be really great to work with an outside expert who really knows what they're doing. So I'm really looking forward to applying for this specifically.
Those are all the questions we have today, Minister.
That's it, okay.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Thank you.
This show has been produced by Depictions Media. Please contact us at depictions.media for more information.